I'm just gonna give 1 minute, everyone. So wait, and then we'll get going. So welcome. Okay, welcome everyone to the ALMA Book Buzz for September. We were just saying how crazy it is that the weather's so nice, and we hope that lasts. So I hope the nice weather has found you all. So I'm Lainey Mays. I'm gonna do some books for HarperCollins in just a minute, but I want to say a quick welcome on behalf of all of the ALMA group to say we have a big day for you. We have 18 publishers. We got to get through a lot. You're gonna get a certificate, the slides, and a recording email after this. So don't worry, you'll have all of that. Edelweiss catalog's on the screen, but we'll periodically put it in the chat as well. And yeah, we're in for a fun day. So let's get started. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. We're all there watching. Okay. So on the next slide, 'tis me. I know you missed me. I'm back. Lainey Mays, HarperCollins. Next slide. So we're having a fun event tomorrow. We're having No Tea, No Shade authors. It's My Life as a Drag Queen. This book is so fun and just joyful, but it goes into some darker topics as well. But who else knows being in an inclusive environment than librarians? So come join us. It's sure to be a really good conversation. And next we have our Writers to Watch event. That's on Thursday. We have some great authors, and our next lineup for the next event will come at this event. So join to see. Next, I'm going to get into some books. So Evil Genius by Claire Oshetsky. This novel, so fun. This is the third book from Claire after Chouette, that was had so much acclaim, and then the next book was Poor Dear, and those were kind of quiet, surrealist works. But Evil Genius is kind of more of a fast-paced page turner that unfolds like a thriller, while kind of retaining Claire's lush prose and madcap humor. It swept me away with humor, murder, and honesty in a time of rebellion and revolution. It's 1974 San Francisco. 19-year-old Celia is married to a domineering man working a steady phone job, and a woman she knows from work is suddenly murdered in a love tryst gone awry. She starts to wonder what it would be like to die for love or to kill for love, and she decides to kind of take the reins of her life, see how close she can come to that edge of something exhilarating. It's all pretend though until the night that Celia finally goes too far and she and her husband are on a deadly collision course. Tragic comedy that's edgy and thrilling, and I couldn't stop reading. I think you'll be thinking about this one for a long time. And the next book is The Fountain by Casey Sheska. So this is an exciting one. If you ever wanted to revisit the themes of immortality from Tuck Everlasting, you found the right book. Vera von Valkenburg hasn't been home in 188 years, but now Vera, forever 26, is able to heal from any wound, and she's returned to her family's home in the Catskills. Whatever made her family immortal happened here, and she has to uncover it. Maybe she can reverse it because she's pretty miserable, and she wants to find out that she finds out that a mysterious, well-funded company is snapping up a local property no matter how high the asking price. And her brother, a fellow immortal, shows up, accompanied by a woman who looks very familiar. Now Vera's in a race against time to find out what has caused her condition before someone else does. The blurbs are crazy good. There's a lot of early excitement from Emma Straub and Isaac Fitzgerald and many more. It's going to be great for book clubs, asking that question of what would you do if you could live forever. There's family dynamics, small town erasure, and just a lot more to dive into. So we're really excited for this one too. And that cover, like Emma Straub, I think this cover is perfect for that reader. It's just beautiful. So next is The Hospital at the End of the World. Justin C. Key. So, Justin is a practicing psychiatrist and a speculative fiction writer. How he has the time, I have no idea. But you may have known him for his story collection, The World Wasn't Ready for You, which got a lot of press and love. And now we're excited to have his first novel. Set in a near future, society is run by a global AI system controlled by an all powerful corporation. And it's called the Shepherd Organization, overseeing every medical school in the country except New Orleans, where one still instills this human led medicine. It's the last choice school for an ambitious young New Yorker named Polk. And after his father, himself a physician, dies after a mysterious circumstance, it seems connected to the Shepherds and their megalomaniacal young CEO. He finds himself on the quest for answers, leads right to this school, and once enrolled, he stumbles upon a further mystery. A strange illness is plaguing newcomers to New Orleans who grew up under this rule. And what's causing this fatal anomaly? How does it relate to the mystery of his father's death and his own mysterious past? There's a lot to uncover. The novel flips traditional sci-fi and horror elements, genre blending, and is socially relevant. It's about turning a critical eye to urgent issues such as an AI government takeover, racism, class, and more. And of course, he knows this world of medicine, so there's kind of an interesting element there. If you like Veronica Roth's Poster Girl or Megan Giddings' Lakewood, this is probably what you'll love. And it's got something for everyone. And I think the author's one to watch. He's a cool author. Next is the just a quick. I want to give you like don't forget about these very exciting titles. So the Astral Library, Kate Quinn, something different for our beloved historical fiction author. Don't worry, I confirm she's still writing historical fiction, more to come. But she's the daughter of a librarian, and this is like the ode to libraries, love letter to what they represent, and kind of all rolled into a fantastical setting. So it's about Alex who stumbles into a hidden door, meets a librarian, the ageless guardian of a hidden library where they're desperate and lost to escape to new lives inside their favorite books of the public domain, of course. And then a shadowy enemy emerges. So how can they save this magical refuge? And then The Left and the Lucky by William Lawton. No secret, we're obsessed with this author. He just had a movie come out about his book, The Night Always Comes, with Vanessa Kirby on Netflix. This new one captures, just like all of his other books, down on the luck outcast character, shows them compassion about a older workaholic man and his relationship with his neighbor, 8-year-old Russell. They kind of see the people in all we see the people in all of their lives, and Eddie gives Russell like a safe place to be himself and learn about the world, that maybe it's not always continuously cruel. My cry count is to 2 on this one. It's really beautiful. I hope you do yourself a favor and read it. And then the ending writes itself, as you can see from this announced print and jacket. It's a big mystery title for us, but what you might not know is that there are several meta elements, including the authors. Their secret. It's going to be revealed very soon. And it's also a book about writers and genre writers specifically and kind of the infighting there. So we have a lot to dive into, and that's all for me. I'm going to pass it on.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to chat with you about some featured adult titles coming from your friends at Source Books. Next slide, please. My name is Emily Ludloff, and I'm an associate marketing manager for libraries. You can follow us on our listed socials here to stay up to date with our latest news, galleys, and free resources. And of course, you can email me at any time with any questions you have. But now on to the books. Next slide. All right, you are invited to the Society Wedding of the Year, if you make it out alive. In The Bridesmaid, when a celebrity bridesmaid is murdered, forensic attorney Holly Stone is sent undercover to take her place. Thrust into the glittering world of the secretive Kensington family, Holly faces off with the demanding bride and a bridal party hiding deadly secrets. And of course, as the big day approaches, Holly suspects one of the 5 bridesmaids is a killer, and the secluded wedding venue is the perfect place to strike again. Next slide. Thrown in the Dark is a fun, cozy fantasy perfect for fans of Assistant to the Villain and The Princess Bride. With a demon for a father, Damien's destiny could be nothing short of nefarious. All it will take to solidify world domination is the completion of his most vicious spell yet. But then a tiny yet troublesome thief, calling herself ALMA, completely upsets Damien's malevolent plans when she mistakenly gets chained to his side through magic. Forced to drag her across the realm on his unholy crusade, Damien knows that killing her would fix things, but the nauseatingly sweet Amma somehow begins to prove herself useful. And worse yet, she then provides herself a source of something even more sinister: feelings. Next slide, please. All right, Your Knife, My Heart is a biting, suspenseful, dark romance set inside an elite special ops squad. Cameron Mortem has a problem. He can't stop killing his partners. An experimental drug has left him unstable, forcing his return to the Undertrials, a brutal boot camp for the strong and merciless. His one directive: don't kill the new girl. Emery Maves narrowly escapes execution from her own violent crimes, only to be thrust into the same savage world. Assigned to Cameron, she must endure both the trials and his volatile nature. Yet beneath Cameron's madness lies an allure she can't quite ignore. Their bond, chaotic, dangerous, and intoxicating, may save them both or destroy them. Next slide, please. The Wolf King. I read this one this weekend. It was so good. It is a thrilling, delicious romantasy for fans of forbidden love, enemies to lovers, and love triangles. On the eve of her arranged marriage, Princess Aurora risks everything to spare a young werewolf in a brutal dogfight. Her mercy draws the attention of a powerful alpha and sets her fate on a new path. That same night, he escapes and kidnaps her, carrying her north to the rugged lands where rival wolf clans are uniting against humans. To him, Aurora is the key to winning the war, but as battle lines blur, so does the line between enemy and desire. Aurora begins to see that not all wolves are monsters, while the Alpha realizes she's in danger from enemies and from those closest to him. Next slide, please. An Arcane Inheritance is a modern-day dark academia speculative fantasy with a romantic twist. This is perfect for fans of Babel and a deadly education. Ellery Morgan is determined to earn her place at Warren University, a prestigious school steeped in eerie rumors and occult secrets. But a strange deja vu creeps in, and she discovers a tattoo with the word "remember" written in her own handwriting. Ellery realizes that this isn't her first time at Warren. She's been trapped in a repeating illusion for 3 years. Her only ally is Hudson Graves, an infuriating legacy student who shares her distrust of the school. As they unravel Warren's dark magic and hidden history, powerful enemies close in. With time running out and Hudson's secrets threatening everything, Ellery must uncover who's controlling her mind before she forgets herself again. Next slide. All right, All the Little Houses is a new Southern thriller by the author of the hit Netflix series you might have seen, The Hunting Wives. This one is mid-1980s in the tiny town of Longview, Texas, and it revolves around the powerful Anderson family. Blonde, beautiful, and ruthlessly ambitious, Carly clawed her way to the top and will not let anyone stand in her way. But when the Swift family moves in, their back to nature charm captivates Longview, threatening everything Carly has built. Determined to protect her empire, Carly launches a campaign to crush them. Yet, in her relentless drive to hold power, she begins spinning a web that could ensnare her own family. Next slide, please. All right, if you are a fan of Tana French or Frida McFadden, Imposter is the book for you. It follows Dr. Alexander Gregory, who is a psychologist recovering from the collapse of a high-profile criminal profiling unit, who wants nothing more than a quiet life to finally sit and think things through. But his rare ability to understand the minds of violent offenders makes him hard to ignore, especially when a small town is shaken by a brutal murder. Reluctantly pulled into the case, Gregory finds himself confronting not only a cunning predator, but the darker corners of his mind. Next slide, please. All right, last one. Where the Wildflowers Grow is an adventure both in finding yourself and healing after trauma. Surviving is nothing new to Lee, so when the transport bus taking her to prison runs off the road, killing everybody aboard except her, she does what she does best. She survives and starts walking. Nobody is looking for her, so Lee takes her chance, eventually stumbling upon a remote flower farm in Alabama. The farm is run by Jackson, a local do-gooder with big dreams of his own. And as time passes, Lee finds herself at peace with the slow life and small trials of the farm, taking solace among the flowers. But the past isn't so easily buried, and soon enough, Lee is faced with a devastating choice. Can she leave her transgressions and enjoy the life she built? Or is the truth of who she is her only path to redemption? Next slide, please. And that is all the books I have for you today, but please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And don't forget to vote for library reads. All right, I am
Oh, hi. All right, I am Lynette here with Chronicle Books. Let's go ahead and jump into a few titles this early spring, starting with Will This Make You Happy? For all you fans of Nora Ephron and Nigel Slater, this culinary memoir is for you. It is about one woman's year-long journey of rediscovering her appetite for pleasure and the joys of meaningful work, and she does it on a journey through stories and baking recipes. Next slide. When Tanya Bush was in her 20s, she was feeling adrift, unemployed, uninspired, stuck in a long-time relationship that has lost its spark. And one day, just to do something, she decides to bake a cake. Next slide. Well, that cake was a disaster. It was gooey in the center, totally underbaked. This is how I bake my cakes. But she found herself deliriously happy. Flour in her hair, sugar under her fingernails, and the hard-earned satisfaction of seeing a recipe through absolutely transformed her. Well, she went from disaster cake baker to the co-founder of Cake Scene, the pastry chef for Tables of Contents, and the Brooklyn-based restaurant Little Egg. She's also a contributing writer to New York Times Tea Magazine. Next slide. In the age of doom scrolling and AI, there's a collective hunger to go back to doing analog things. Will This Make You Happy? Is for those who don't mind a cookbook that's messier, more experimental, and a little more honest than your average cookbook. Next slide. Okay, if you haven't seen the Instagram account Art But Make It Sports, you must visit post haste. LJ Rader pairs images of moments from the sports world with their fine arts doppelgangers. Next slide. Now we're excited to publish a collection of his sports and art paintings. It's got some of his greatest hits, but also brand new content. For instance, is that Caitlin Clark posing for a portrait during the 2024 WNBA draft, or is it Judith with the head of Holofernes by Charles Mellon? The answer is yes. You'll find potential to spark some serious conversations in this book. For instance, the themes of victory and power can be found in Dee Brown's iconic 1990 no-look slam dunk, as well as in the sculpture of the goddess Nike that I believe currently sits at the Louvre. Next slide. Or you can just look at the images as an amazing way to bring fine art appreciation to the masses. There are a ton of funny images I didn't get to in time for this presentation, but you can find them all on Edelweiss. Amazingly, LJ Rader is a self-taught art aficionado. He works in sports, but his grandmother had instilled in him an appreciation for fine arts. He does not use AI, but works off his encyclopedic knowledge of the art world and his personal notes. He loves a challenge and says art gets him out of the house. Next slide. Crafting for a cat. I didn't know I needed a book on cat crafts, but here we are. Anika Hines is a DIY content creator known for her playful, budget-friendly projects. She turns everyday materials into lots of fun things. Next slide. Like matching friendship, kitty and me charm necklaces, sparkle name tags, and strawberry cat scratchers. To help along the way, each craft is rated on a paw system to indicate the difficulty level. So 1 paw, super easy. 5 paws, it is time to roll up your sleeves. Next slide. Sadly, I myself am allergic to cats, but I work in publishing, so I probably know some cat people. You might be one of them. This book is a joy to read and chock full of gift ideas for all my cat owner friends out there. Next slide. Butter. Here's a history, how-tos, and recipes for anyone who believes everything is better with butter. Next slide. In this charming book, you'll find butter's curious history, fun ways to serve butter, collectible butter accessories. Next slide. Tips for buying and even making butter, and its ability to transform the most humble foods, even a day-old muffin, into something absolutely revelatory. Next slide. And of course, there are recipes. Our design and editorial team worked really hard to create an homage to all of this golden goodness, as this bringer of joy rightly deserves. Next slide. Unconditional. So illustrator Kat Willett. Kat's client list has clout. She's a go-to for everyone from the New York Times and the Washington Post to Spotify, Doc Martens, and the Brooklyn Public Library. Now she's here with a poignant graphic memoir featuring portraits of women and the unbreakable bonds they share with their animal companions. Next slide. Whether they live alone or in a couple or family setting, or their featured animal friends are dogs, cats, guinea pigs, horses, even bees, these personal stories are illustrated with great love and care. Recent studies show that most pet owners are women, and in bigger households, they often take on more responsibilities caring for family pets. We won't even talk about the cat lady thing here. Unconditional is sure to resonate with anyone who has ever felt transformed by a relationship with their furry or furless friends. Next slide. Next slide. Florophile's Almanac. Author Lauren Work owns The Farmer's Daughter, a floral shop in Pittsburgh. Her work has been featured in Real Simple, Design Sponge, Drew Magazine, and by Free People. She's written a love letter to florals with beautiful, beautiful illustrations by artist Jesse Evans. Next slide. Not only does she spotlight 50 different flowers, she shows how to harness flower power in crafts, recipes, remedies, and more. Next slide. A feature I love about this book are spotlights on specialty flower shops across the US, including an overview of their vibe and a mission statement or reflections from each owner, as you'll see from the next slide. Maybe you're a gardener, a decorator, a crafter, or just a lover of flowers. No matter what your affinity is for the flower world, this is the book for you. It celebrates the joy, practicality, and magic that flowers bring into our world. Next slide. And this is just a sneak peek. Cake Picnic started with a few friends looking to return to meaningful connections in a digital and post-pandemic world. So they got together in a park on a sunny day and ate cake. The now viral cake picnics are joy-filled gatherings where each attendee brings a cake to share with friends old and new. That's it. And it's the most immense immediate popularity inspired founder Elisa Sunga to take her picnics on the road, traveling from LA to New York to beyond. When she realized she couldn't bring Cake Picnic to everyone everywhere in the world, she did the next best thing. She wrote this book. That is coming in May. Next slide. Well, we started with cake and we ended with cake, so that's it from me. My contact info is on the slide. Thank you for listening, and I think I'm turning it over to Maddie.
Yes, thanks, Lynette. I'm Maddie Hughes, and I'm the School and Library Marketing Manager for Disney Publishing, and I'm so happy to be here today to share some of our upcoming titles. Next slide. Witness the unfolding history of the universe as you turn each page of the grand cosmic story, a brilliant and beautiful volume sure to fascinate anyone interested in astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology. In this large format full-color book, every two-page spread represents 100 million years in the universe's 13.8 billion year-long story and beyond. With illuminating text and imaginative illustrations, this exquisite volume portrays every phase of our cosmic history. The product of a prestigious creative team, including an astrophysicist, space artist, graphic designer, and science illustrator, this unique volume is a must-have for anyone interested in space. Next slide. The Ultimate Traveler's Reference. This first book is a gorgeous book featuring bucket list worthy travel recommendations for every country in the world, featuring beautiful National Geographic photography and 250 illustrated maps. The Traveler's Atlas of the World delivers essential information, fun road trips, and infinite inspirations through more than 300 spectacular photographs with signature storytelling and invaluable traveler secrets. And also just wanted to note that the newest book in the 100 of a Lifetime series, 100 Train Journeys of a Lifetime, is also an exciting new travel volume that will be out on October 7th. Next slide. Unravel one of history's greatest mysteries in the spellbinding narrative exploring three leading theories of Amelia Earhart's tragic disappearance. In Lost, former National Geographic reporter Rachel Hartigan delves into Earhart's disappearance, introducing a host of eccentric characters who have become obsessed with finding the truth. Did the great aviator crash land near the Marshall Islands, only to be captured by Japanese soldiers? Did she manage to land on Nikomororo Island but die of injury or starvation? Or did she run out of fuel and crash into the ocean? As tantalizing new evidence mounts, Hartigan and her fellow investigators descend deeper into a world of conspiracy and obsession. Through its irresistible characters and prodigious research, Lost reveals not just why we remember Amelia Earhart as a trailblazer and adventurer, but why unsolved mysteries keep us forever searching for answers. Next slide. In Grizzled, science journalist Jason Biddle taps into current research about the behavior of key North American animals. From fireflies and hummingbirds to alligators and sharks, this collection of 50 brief essays combines witty prose and vivid illustrations to reveal the secret lives and oddball behaviors of North American creatures, both familiar and little known. Effortlessly readable, Grizzled reintroduces nature lovers to species they thought they knew all about. Next slide. As a creative powerhouse and a former president of physical and post-production, visual effects, and animation production for Marvel Studios, Victoria Alonso knows a thing or two about success. First as a young person in Argentina living through military dictatorship, then as a 19-year-old newly arrived in America, saying yes to possibilities again and again laid the path for Alonso to become who she is today. Empowering, entertaining, and steeped in lived experience, Possibility is Your Superpower is the story of a groundbreaking woman in Hollywood and a primer for creating your own success, taking control of your own destiny, and claiming your seat at the table. This one will also be available, which I don't have here, but as in a Spanish edition that's coming out like a month later. Next slide. In Sisters Loved and Treasured, Stories of Unbreakable Bonds, award-winning ABC News journalist and New York Times bestselling author Deborah Roberts curates a giftable collection of conversations, meditations, and anecdotes from her own sisters, celebrity friends, and everyday people alike who share deeply personal accounts of how their relationships as sisters shaped their lives. This follow-up to Roberts' previous collection, Lessons Learned and Cherished, Teachers Who Saved My Life, features 50 stories about sisterhood and include many from Deborah's high-profile friends, including Viola Davis, Jenna Bush Hager, and Barbara Bush, Ariana Huffington, Octavia Spencer, and more. Next slide. In the bigger picture, the late producer John Landau, best known for his collaborations with James Cameron on Titanic and Avatar, shares behind-the-scenes stories about some of the greatest movies of our time and advice on how to live well while working in a notoriously all-consuming job. For him, that meant centering the things that mattered to him most, his love for family and his dedication to his friends and creative partners. When he was diagnosed with a terminal illness, he decided to write his memoir to pass on his stories and hard-earned wisdom, and this is that result. Next slide. Now moving on to a few upcoming fiction titles. Matt Murdock defends the Punisher in The Trial of the Century, The Murder of the Kingpin, while by night Daredevil staves off a war of succession for the throne of the criminal underworld in Enemy of My Enemy, written by Alex Segura. Enemy of My Enemy continues the Marvel crime series that began with Lisa Jewell's Breaking the Dark and brings fans into a grittier street-level side of the Marvel universe. Marvel crime novels build on one another, but do not require an in-depth familiarity with Marvel or the other books in the series, so you don't have to have read the previous Lisa Jewell, Jessica Jones book to read this one, though I do recommend reading that one as well. And unfortunately, I do have to share that I just received news that this won't publish until March 24th, so a slight delay, but not too long. Next slide. When self-destructive socialite Greta Davenport receives a mysterious card under her door, her life begins to change. The card is an invitation to the Found Object Society, a mysterious society that offers its members the chance to relive the death of another person whenever they want, just by picking up an object. The experience is accompanied by an addictive high that Greta begins to crave, but she can't quiet her questions about the society and its enigmatic creators, the answers to which have implications far beyond her growing dependence on the voyages. A fever dream of a novel with episodic time-traveling chapters told from multiple points of view, author Michelle Merrick's wholly original and ambitious debut opens an impeccably wrought speculative world of greed, power, and destiny. Next slide. That's everything from me. If you need to get in touch, please feel free to reach out via email. We also do have several of these titles available for requests on NetGalley and Edelweiss. Thank you all so much. I'm passing it over to, I believe, Soho Press.
Hey everyone, I'm Rudy Martinez from Soho Press. I just want to call your attention to a couple of things here. The first is that we have a librarian newsletter. It goes out bi-monthly. We'd love for y'all to sign up for it. It's right there. You can see the link. All of the titles that I'm presenting today are available for request on Edelweiss and NetGalley, along with a bunch of other titles that I'm not going to talk about. Next slide, please. So first up, I have What Boys Learn. It's a new thriller from Andromeda Romano Lax, who you may know from 2024's The Deepest Lake. So What Boys Learn follows Abby Russo, a high school guidance counselor at a small private school that's just been rocked by the deaths of two girls who are enrolled as students. It's widely assumed that these two girls have committed suicide, and because of Abby's closeness to them, her competence as a guidance counselor is suddenly called into question. But the police soon settle on the idea that these deaths are in fact suspicious, and her worries then take on this totally different cast as she begins to reconsider her own teenage son Ben's sort of suspicious behavior, emotionless reactions to the news of his own classmates' deaths. Abby, of course, doesn't want to believe that her son could have done anything terrible, but she also recognizes signs of this problematic behavior because of her training, but also because her own brother Owen is in prison for crimes that he committed when he was just a little older than her son is now. This is a jaw-dropping thriller. It's touching on raw, important, big topics: toxic masculinity, internet-born ideologies, fears around increasing income gaps between boys and girls educationally and professionally and socially. It's for readers of Lisa Jewell, Lucy Foley, Claire McIntosh, anyone who enjoyed the Netflix original Adolescence. That's What Boys Learn by Andromeda Romano Lax. Next slide, please. Next, I have Crown City by Naomi Hirahara. So Naomi is the author of the Mary Higgins Clark Award-winning mystery Clark and Division, and this is a really fun entry into her Japantown historical mystery series, which explores crimes that are committed in America's historic Japanese enclaves throughout time. So Crown City takes place in 1903 Pasadena. It follows a newly immigrated young carpenter named Ryuna Sukiwara and his roommate as they fall into these sort of unexpected positions as amateur investigators in their community. This all starts when they begin looking into a series of anti-Japanese attacks in their neighborhood, and their role as amateur sleuths deepens further when they're called to help recover a painting stolen from the studio of Pasadena's most successful Japanese artist. Of course, it's not long before this sleuthing leads them into actual danger. Their naivete is on full display. It's perfect for readers of Laurie King, Ayad Akhtar, Sujata Massey, anyone who really enjoys richly detailed historical mysteries. That's Crown City by Naomi Hirahara. Next slide, please. Jackson Alone, a really exciting new novel translated from Japanese by author Jose Ando. You may be aware that Soho Crime has a very rich history of publishing Japanese crime fiction, both classic and contemporary, but this is a really striking departure from much of what we already have in the catalog. So it tells the story of Jackson, a half Japanese, half black man whose sexual identity suddenly becomes the subject of office gossip after this violent pornographic video featuring someone who could be him starts to circulate around his office place, and so Jackson coincidentally meets this group of other queer mixed race guys sort of in the broader community of his office, and he learns that he's not the only one who's being targeted in this way. So together they concoct this plan. They're going to find out who's responsible, they're going to get revenge, and as a lever they're going to use the fact that no one can seem to tell them apart. It's just a gut punch of a little novel. It's deadpan, it's angry, it's tender. It's a frank exploration of race and queerness in contemporary Japan. It sits really well next to a book that we put out in 2023 called The Night of Baba Yaga by Akira Otani. This is just a fantastic new translation. Very excited about this. That's Jackson Alone by Jose Ando. Next slide, please. Debut literary mystery from Scottish author Frances Crawford, A Bad, Bad Place. I love this book. It is probably my favorite off the spring list. It's lively, it's heartfelt, it's creepy. totally suffused with the specificity of its setting. So it opens in 1979 in a working class neighborhood in Glasgow called Postle Park. It's there we meet this 12-year-old named Janie. She's walking her dog near an abandoned railway, and she finds the body of a murdered young woman who's later identified as the daughter of a notorious Glaswegian gang member. So this experience is obviously traumatizing, and Janie literally loses pieces of that day from her memory. But she's creative and she's driven and she's tough, and she wants to remember and honor the memory of this dead woman. And the best way she can think to do that is by building this scrapbook dedicated to her, which leads her then into this kind of unofficial investigative capacity within her neighborhood. But we also get the perspective of Janie's grandmother, Maggie, for whom this death is also a reminder of some tragedies from her own family's past. And as the gossip really begins to heat up and swirl around this pub where she works, and her instinct to protect her granddaughter kicks in, she also begins to poke around a little bit in the neighborhood on her own. Give this one to readers of Shuggie Bain, Liz Moore's God of the Woods, Tana French's Dublin Murder Squad. Cannot recommend it highly enough. A Bad, Bad Place by Frances Crawford. Next slide. Okay, finally, from our Hell's 100 imprint, The Glowing Hours. So it opens in 1916 London, where Marinessa Begum has just arrived from India on a boat from India to find her brother, deliver a letter of inheritance. Her brother doesn't show up, and instead she finds herself lured into a house for Indian housemaids and eventually sent to accompany this young English couple, Mary and Percy Shelley, to a villa on Lake Geneva for the summer, along with their prickly friend, Lord Byron, his personal physician. This villa is, of course, where Shelley wrote Frankenstein, and all of that is there, you know, these characters, the book, but really what it's about is Mare and her observation and her time in this villa as she slowly, sort of along with the other inhabitants, descends into madness. The place becomes creepy. The haunted house narrative takes over. I'll have to leave it there. This is The Glowing Hours by Leela Siddiqui. Excellent horror novel. Thank you all for your time.
All right, over to me. Hello, librarians. Anastasia from Phaidon here. This is our first ALMA Book Buzz, so I'm really excited to be here and to share some of our stunning cookbooks that are releasing this fall. First up, we have, next slide please, Recipes from the American South by Michael W. Twitty. Phaidon is famous for our deep dives on global cuisines, and we're thrilled to take a look at one of America's most famous culinary regions with recipes from the American South. This is a deeply researched collection with impressive breadth to the foods of the southern United States, from the Louisiana Bayou to the Chesapeake Bay, showcasing more than 260 recipes presented by the region's most prominent food historian and writer. I see some love for him in the chat, Michael Twitty. Next slide, please. So Michael Twitty has researched the American South from every angle. I'm sure many of you know him from his acclaimed 2017 culinary memoir, The Cooking Gene, which explored his family roots in the American South as a framework to understand the many European, Indigenous, African, and immigrant influences on Southern cooking. So this book continues that perspective and offers new historical, cultural, and culinary insights for even the most beloved of Southern dishes. The breads, biscuits, and breakfast chapter showcases everything from icebox rolls to Sally Lunn bread. Chapters on vegetables and soups, stews, and casseroles take readers to the agrarian roots of Southern cuisine. And his chapter on mains features everything from the classic fried chicken to venison stew. The desserts chapter includes buttermilk glazed fig cake, coconut custard pie, and fried dough beloved in Cajun country. Apologies to anyone who hasn't eaten yet this morning. Next slide, please. Each recipe features an expansive headnote story and the Phaidon Home Cookbook icons that indicate dairy-free, gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, 5 ingredients or fewer, and 30 minutes or less. Makes these really accessible. 100 recipes are also accompanied by beautifully commissioned food photography. In between the recipes, Twitty shares eloquent essays about topics such as flour, corn, the Southern garden, rice, one-pot dishes, and more. There's also a glossary on the peoples, places, and eras that have shaped Southern cooking, as well as a bibliography. This is a cookbook, but it's so substantial, and it even doubles as some armchair travel. The gorgeous cover has autonomous harvest vibes that's going to draw readers in, whether they're looking for some holiday recipe inspiration or just some hearty recipes to try for fall. This releases on October 15th, price point $54.95. Next slide.
Next up, we have The Art of French Baking. From eclairs to soufflés and macarons to madeleines, when it comes to desserts, no one does it better than the French. When Phaidon reintroduced famed French food writer Jeanette Mathieu's iconic book, The Art of French Baking, in 2011, we sold more than 20,000 copies globally. Next slide. So originally published in French in 1938, Mathieu's The Art of French Baking has become a must-have resource in every kitchen in France. Now, we're thrilled to announce the return of this best-selling baking Bible with an all-new package and cover, bringing Mathieu's accessible recipes to a new generation of at-home bakers. Next slide, please. Featuring 350 recipes adapted for the modern baker by Parisian food writer and expert baker Clotilde Desoleil, The Art of French Baking takes the home cook through traditional French pastry techniques with lessons on how to adapt and troubleshoot recipes as needed. And it continues Mathieu's legacy of making French cooking accessible for all. It's a welcomed addition to our growing list of baking books. This publishes tomorrow, September 10th, for $39.95. Next slide, please. Next, we have Vietnam, the Cookbook by Anaïs Cado van Manen. Vietnamese cuisine is taking the global food scene by storm with its bold, fresh, and aromatic flavors, captivating food lovers internationally. And this movement is only gaining momentum. Trendspotting agencies in North America and Europe have identified Vietnamese cuisine as a favorite cuisine for 2025. Diners everywhere are craving authentic, heritage-rich culinary experiences, and Vietnam, the Cookbook does just that. Next slide, please. More than just pho and banh mi, and who can forget President Obama and Anthony Bourdain sitting down to bun cha. Vietnamese food is a rich and diverse tapestry of flavors, techniques, and regional specialties. Vietnam, the Cookbook is the ultimate celebration of this vibrant cuisine, offering a deep dive into the dishes found in everyday Vietnamese homes and the country's most authentic traditional recipes. From the bustling streets of Hanoi to the dynamic food culture of Ho Chi Minh City, this book is a must-have for food enthusiasts, home cooks, and professional chefs alike. At the heart of this landmark cookbook is our author, an acclaimed chef and food consultant with a passion for sharing Vietnam's culinary heritage. Born in Paris to a Vietnamese Dutch family, Anaïs has honed her skills in some of the world's most respected kitchens. To write this book, you can flip to the next slide, please. Anaïs made the life-changing decision to relocate to Vietnam, immersing herself fully in the country's food culture, and she spent an entire year traveling from north to south, learning from local cooks, discovering rare ingredients, and mastering regional specialties and techniques. The result, this is a groundbreaking collection of 445 authentic Vietnamese recipes. It's a thick one, each thoughtfully crafted, rigorously tested, and beautifully photographed on location. This publishes October 22nd at a price point of $54.95. Next up, we have One Pot, 100 Simple Recipes to Cook Together. Next, there we go. Look at this great cover. So the casserole dish or Dutch oven is an essential kitchen tool for creating convenient meals without compromising on taste. In One Pot, author Amandine Bernardi, a popular French cook with an Instagram following of 290K, presents 100 effortless recipes featuring vibrant international dishes. Next slide, please. Home cooks will discover wholesome dishes like ratatouille and veggie soba noodles, hearty mains like beef bourguignon and Moroccan fish stew, and sweet treats such as baked apples with honey or pear and almond cake. Next slide. This is a perfect addition to your collections as the weather starts to cool down and people get inspired to try some new recipes. They're accessible, crowd pleasers, great for batch cooking for those seeking to manage time and budgets. And that is our last title for today. So thanks, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm Katie Vaughn. I'm the marketing manager at Bloomsbury, and I've dropped our Google form link in the chat so that you can request review copies of the following books. But for now, we will jump right into the first slide. So as a reminder, A Truce That Is Not Peace by Miriam Taves is out now. This is her heartbreaking and humorous memoir, which serves as an answer to the question, why do you write? Miriam is also the author of Women Talking, Fight Night, and All My Puny Sorrows, and the Minnesota Star Tribune says all of Taves's books are outstanding, but if you have not read her, this could be a great place to start. And then coming up next Tuesday, we have Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon. This is a new standalone addition to the Roots of Chaos cycle that bridges the events of A Day of Fallen Night and the Priory of the Orange Tree, focusing on Morosa Vitalda and the fall of Iskalin. This is an accessible entry point for readers new to the series and a gripping single sitting read for everyone who is already on board, and it features gorgeous illustrations throughout. And then later this month, we have Celebrate by the beloved host of the Great British Baking Show, which just came back, Paul Hollywood. This is Paul's new book of the ultimate celebratory bakes for every holiday and occasion, meant to be devoured among friends and family. From wintertime Yule logs to autumnal apple donuts to key lime pie for warm summer months and endless crowd-pleasing appetizers and treats, this book has the perfect recipe for every crowd. And then coming up in October, we'll have Bog Queen, a new novel from the author of New York Times bestseller Outlawed, Anna North. Following a forensic anthropologist named Agnes and her monumental discovery of an ancient woman's body preserved in a bog, the novel follows a clash of worlds, past and present, over the fate of the land that holds us. In their star review, PW says North reaches new heights in this novel. And then on the next slide, we have the Library of Lost Maps by geographer James Cheshire. Featuring stunning 4-color map reproductions, Cheshire transports us to the 19th and 20th centuries, when the library's maps were wielded for war and negotiated during peace, when its charts traced for the first time the icy peaks of the Himalayas, when politicians mapped both beneficial reforms and horrific conquests. The Complete Human Body author Alice Roberts calls it an astonishingly fresh and insightful perspective into history and geography, a triumph. And then on the next slide, in October, we have French Classics, a stunning debut cookbook from rising star Matthew Ryle. We're in the midst of a French food renaissance, and French Classics is full of recipes that have for centuries withstood the test of time and that are soon to break through to a new generation of chefs. Whether you're craving the perfect croque madame for lunch or beef bourguignon for a cold night, or hoping to surprise your partner with steak Diane, or wow your friends and family with a grand bouffe, French Classics has you covered. And then on the next slide, later in October, we will have The Christmas Companion by beloved author Skye McAlpin. An all things Christmas cookbook and gifty guide to the perfect holiday, Skye includes canon recipes like ginger and apricot glazed ham and panettone, along with foolproof menus for every event, from 2-person romantic dinners to blowout cocktail parties or Christmas lunch for 20. She also offers guides to making candy cane heart ornaments and playing Santa, how to make your own Christmas crackers, and the most beautiful ways to decorate the holiday table, guaranteeing to spread Christmas cheer. And then on the following slide, another cookbook for you guys, we have Padella by Tim Sayadon. The head chef of popular London restaurant Padella has collected their renowned recipes and now aimed them squarely at the home cook, marrying style and flavor to create the elegant yet accessible pasta book his worldwide fans have been waiting for. The recipes include both meat and vegetarian dishes, and they range from fresh flat pasta recipes like fettuccine with artichokes, pancetta and sage, filled pastas like tortellini of veal and pork and brodo, baked pasta dishes like mushroom lasagna and gnocchi with nutmeg butter. And then on the next slide is A Case of Life and Limb, the next book in Sally Smith's Trials of Gabriel Ward series after A Case of Mice and Murder. Beginning on a snowy Christmas Eve in London, 1901, A Case of Life and Limb is exactly the kind of book mystery readers will want to cozy up with this winter. Someone is holding a grudge that has already led to at least one death, and now it's up to reluctant sleuth barrister Gabriel Ward and Constable Wright of the City of London Police to find out who before an old death leads to a new murder. And then on the next slide, we have Every Day I Read by the author and translator of Welcome to the Hunamdong Bookshop, Huang Bo Rayam and Shanna Tan. Why do we read? What is it that we hope to take away from the intimate, personal experience of reading for pleasure? In each of these essays, Huang Bo Rayam contemplates what living a life immersed in reading means. She goes beyond the usual questions of what to read and how often, exploring the relationship between reading and writing, when to turn to a bestseller versus browse the corners of a bookstore, the value of reading outside of your favorite genre, and more. Highly quotable and highly readable, this is the perfect holiday read for all book lovers and a perfect New Year starting point for aspiring readers. And then finally, on the next slide, We have all of these fantastic titles on deck as well. Unknown Enemy is the harrowing true story of Organization Todt, the builders turned killers at the center of the Nazi war machine. The Deserving is a groundbreaking new take on the American justice system from one of its unknown mercy workers who works with criminal defense teams as a mitigation specialist, offering a hope-filled vision of true rehabilitation replacing retribution. Being Thomas Jefferson is a dramatic picture of early American culture that brings us closer to Jefferson's life and thought than ever before. I Could Be Famous is a magnetic debut story collection following 10 ambitious women and a male superstar as they pursue their desires, however diluted, for fame. And George Saunders calls it a terrific debut, fresh, original, and surprising. And finally, The House of Barbary is a loose retelling of Bluebeard, following a young woman's pursuit of justice and her struggle with the moral complexities of revenge in 17th century Switzerland. And on the very last slide, that is it for us. Thank you so much for listening. Do feel free to reach out to me via email to ask any questions, and then check out that Google form link in the chat to request galleys. Thanks so much.
Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Coyle Crivelli from Penguin Random House. Sorry, I had a hard time coming off mute. First of all, I'm very hungry from all these books, and also every day I read looks very beautiful. So thank you for having us today. I'm going to, next slide, tell you a couple of things and just talk about a couple of books that we wanted to let you know about today. We are only going to talk to you about 5 books today, which from Penguin Random House is like nothing. So that's why signing up for our e-newsletter is very important, because every week you'll get more information from us about our upcoming titles. And we always have fun giveaways, and you can keep in touch with us this way, etc. Next, we want to let you know about our morning book buzz. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. It's we do it 4 times a year. We have one tomorrow where we talk about more of our Penguin Random House titles. We spend about an hour with you, let you know what we're talking about for the upcoming months. And we talk about our staff picks, and it's just a fun, interactive little time to spend with us. And we hope you are already registered for it. Next. All right, on to the books. There's 5 and they're all very fun to talk about. So the first one is called The Jills. It's a propulsive debut novel about a Buffalo Bills cheerleader who will stop at nothing to solve the disappearance of her best friend and teammate, navigating the dark underbelly of a hardscrabble city, the grime and glamour of professional cheerleading, and her own family tangled history. Virginia is a Jill, a cheerleader for the NFL's Buffalo Bills. Living the life of her dreams, she spends her weekday practicing, her weekends cheering, and her nights hopping between bars and clubs with her friends and her fearless, charismatic teammate, Janine, whose friendship has given Virginia confidence and helped her forget her troubled past, especially her troubled past with her estranged sister, Laura. One day, Janine fails to show up for a game, and all of her calls and texts go unanswered. Virginia embarks on an investigation into Janine's disappearance, aided by a network of other Jills, ex-boyfriends, seedy fixtures of Buffalo's criminal underground, and unexpected figures from her past. But as her search grows increasingly dangerous and spirals into obsession, disturbing questions about who Janine really was begin to emerge. Soon, Virginia finds herself wondering how well she really did know her best friend, if she could trust the people she thought were protecting her, and whether, when trying to save the one she loves the most, she's capable of saving herself too. The Jills is a page-turning novel that brims with wit and heart while reminding us of the healing power of sisterhood. Next. Some books you can just talk about the cover. This one, I feel like you could just talk about the title. How to Commit a Post-Colonial Murder. I love this. It's a bold, Celeste Ng says, I have been waiting for Nina McConaughey's debut novel for years, and it's even better than I could have imagined. It's summer 1986. The Creole sisters, Georgie Ayer and Agatha Krishna, welcome their aunt, uncle, and young cousin, newly arrived from India, to move into their house in rural Wyoming, where they'll all live together. But why? This is what families do. That's why, until the sisters decide that it's time for their uncle to die. According to Georgie, the British are to blame. And to understand why, you need to hear her story. She details the violence hiding in their house and history, her once unshakable bond with Agatha Krishna, and her understanding of herself as an Indian American in the heart of the West. Her account is at every turn cheeky, unflinching, and infectiously infected with the trappings of teendom, including magazine quizzes that help her make sense of her life. At its heart, the tale she weaves is A, a vivid portrait of an extended family, B, a moving portrait of sisterhood, C, a playful ode to the 80s, D, a mystery of sorts, E, an unexpected and unwaveringly powerful meditation of history and language, trauma and healing, and the meaning of independence. Or maybe the meaning of it is actually F, all of the above. We can't wait for this one to come out. It's for fans of My Sister, the Serial Killer, and Gold Diggers. Next. Ooh, this is fun too. Room 706. This kind of brings you to that Coldplay Instagram camera moment. Trapped in a London hotel room with her lover, a woman must contend with her life and marriage in this exhilarating debut. When asked what matters most in her life, Kate would of course say her children and her husband, because she loves her life, even when it involves making a costume late into the night, scouring the supermarket for the only bread rolls her children will eat, and working during any spare moment in between. And she has found the way to hang on to her sanity in the progress. And this is how she does it. She steals hours once every few months to have sex with another man. Until one rendezvous when Kate turns on the television to discover that the very London hotel where she meets this man is under siege. And with that, she knows nothing will ever be the same. In the confines of that room, everything is at stake. Kate is left to contemplate what has led her here, in hiding with a man who is not her husband, while her beloved family waits at home. Her marriage, identity, and desire. Room 706 traces the complicated story of a woman's life as she faces what her future might hold, even if she makes it through the day. This is a fun book from Sarah Jessica Parker's line, and Sarah Jessica Parker says, Room 706 is as tender as it is surprising, a gripping interrogation of womanhood. Next up, All Carrie. Oh, sorry, One and Only. Sorry, this is, you could go back one. I'm so sorry. There we go. One and Only for fans of Annabelle Monaghan and Abby Jimenez. This is really going to be fun. It's In 5 Years meets the Joy Luck Cub. It's an adult novel from the author of YA Reese Pick Throwback, a funny and fresh loving story of a woman thrown a curveball by fate and the family secret that will make her question everything. Cassia Park believes in soulmates, fated love stories. It's her family business after all. For centuries, from Korea to Los Angeles, Park women have peered into clients' past lives to find their one true love. They're fated. This magical secret is why one and only matchmaking has a 100% guarantee, but for everyone except for Cassia. On her 40th birthday, Cass decides to do something for herself, and she decides she's going to find her destiny, and she ends up finding the person that she's always felt connected to, Daniel Nam. But is it too late? Because she has already hooked up with one of his employees. This is going to be fun for book clubs, one of those fun rom-coms that we all love. And last for me is All Carrie. This is fun for sports fans. It's about a recently laid off golfer, a golf reporter, a down on his luck caddy, and a magical set of golf clubs once owned by Jack Nicklaus. Joe is a golf reporter. He's missed more than one Father's Day that he cares to count because that's when he has to cover the US Open. But his son Buddy has counted every single one. Joe and Buddy's relationship is fractured at best. Then one day at a garage sale, Buddy finds a woefully obsolete set of golf clubs that supposedly belong to Jack Nicklaus and decides to give them to his father as an olive branch. When Joe takes the golf clubs out on a whim, he discovers something unbelievable. He's hitting 400 yards. No one hits the ball that far. Not Tiger, not Nicklaus. This is told with All Carrie is told with a specificity that only comes from years of covering the sport. It's a feel-good father-son, unlikely friendship comeback story that will no doubt be a new classic. Thank you so much. And now on to my friend Nicole from Quirk, whom I owe a phone call to.
Thanks, Kelly. Hi,
Bye.
everyone. It is great to be back to talk to you about Quirk's late fall 2025 books that will be perfect for your patrons. All of these books are available on NetGalley and Edelweiss, and you can always reach out to me via email for physical ARCs. I am dropping a message in the chat with my email address. Next slide, please. I am kicking it off with the great work. I'm excited to share Sheldon Costa's The Great Work with you, which is impressive. This book is so impressive because the writing is so self-assured for a debut, and it's been confirmed by early reader reviews as well. This is a Western adventure with gothic vibes that follows a Last of Us style duo as they chase down a legendary giant salamander. And it has some genuinely profound things to say about masculinity, friendship, empire, and the meaning of human suffering. This book is about Gentle Montgomery, a hard-drinking embalmer, and his vulnerable but strong-willed nephew, Kit, who are on a quest to find the giant salamander that's causing chaos up and down the Olympic Peninsula in the brand new state of Washington. Gentle's best friend Liam, killed while hunting for the salamander, was an alchemist who believed the monster's blood was the secret to creating the Philosopher's Stone, the great work to which the title refers. If Gentle can catch the creature, he can use its blood and Liam's alchemical notebooks to bring Liam back to life. But as he and Kit and Liam's body traverse the northwestern frontier, they are hounded by a death cult, a sadistic judge, a giant hunter, and the salamander itself, which causes waking nightmares of a blighted future. That future is our present, by the way. And as Gentle struggles to understand this creature that his friend died pursuing, it becomes clear that the great work of the alchemist may pale in comparison to the small work of human connection. We see this as a book for fans of beautifully written, big idea speculative fiction with an occult or supernatural element. For fans of readers like Kelly Link and Karen Russell, and the big ideas make it a great pick for book clubs. Next slide, please. Lightening the tone a little, maybe. Let's talk about the inevitability of death. Almost everyone is eventually going to have to deal with the death of a parent. And while there are plenty of books on dealing with grief, there's a lot less guidance for the legal, financial, and logistical hurdles that await. Becky Robeson is a trained death doula who lost both parents within a few years of each other. So she's ideally poised to help you answer all the questions you never thought to ask. Becky is a Louisville-based writer who lost her parents, as I mentioned, in 2020 and 2023. At the time, she was in over her head and realized there was a lot of information, but not a lot of guidance. So she refocused her life around death education and started the website My Parents Are Dead. And since starting her website, she has created an online community for people navigating postmortem logistics and frequently gives talks about handling the bureaucracy of death, as well as hosting death salons. This book offers digestible resources that will help people cut through the bureaucracy of death and has a friendly, accessible voice that can add humor to a tough situation without making too much light of it. Becky herself is the perfect guide to help with these things. Overwhelmed and grieving people who pick up this book will immediately be able to tell from the table of contents that it will help not only with their current problem, but with the next set of problems they haven't even thought of yet, and that it will do so in a friendly and easy, digestible way. And as I mentioned, Becky hosts a death salon at her library in Louisville and is more than willing to visit other library death salons virtually. And then I am going to end with Christmas. Undead and Unwed by Sam Shida. You may know her for her mystery rom-coms like 2021 Siri, Who Am I? And 2024's Errands and Espionage. Undead and Unwed is a contemporary rom-com with a paranormal twist about a vampire finding herself and falling in love during the Christmas season. Think Bridget Jones's Diary meets What We Do in the Shadows. At the very young age of 300 years old, Tiffany is tragically single, working a dead-end job, and laying low under the guise of her assumed identity, marathoning Hallmark Channel movies with her cat and her next-door neighbor. When the person Tiffany stole her identity from inherits a fixer-upper in Valentine, Vermont, she seizes the opportunity to kickstart her life and get her happily ever after. With her newly undead neighbor in tow, Tiffany is determined to live out her holiday rom-com dreams in this picture-perfect town. But between the mystery of her stolen identity, small town drama, and the arrival of her insufferable vampire ex-boyfriend, getting her happily ever after with the hot Christmas tree farmer won't be easy. To uncover what she truly wants in life, Tiffany must embark on a journey of self-acceptance for the first time in her immortal life. Luckily, it's never too late to start therapy. Sam Cheetah's killer dialogue and dark humor makes this book the perfect holiday read for romance book clubs that are looking for more of a lifetime Christmas movie under the guise of a Hallmark countdown to Christmas movie. Thank you for all of your time today. If there is anything that you would like to grab a physical copy of, send me an email or request digital copies via NetGalley or Edelweiss. Thank you so much. And on to our next presenter, Chris.
Thanks, Nicole. And yes, I am Chris Vicari of Union Square and Company. Thanks for being here today. And as always, vote for those Library Reads monthly picks. A quick look back on the next slide with Out Now or Soon on Your Shelves, a gripping historical novel in Boudica's Daughter by Elodie Harper, author of the Wolf Den trilogy. In Deadly Company by L.S. Stratton, called A Winning Murder Mystery by Publishers Weekly. We have a love story, ghost story, and a starred review for Allison Richmond in The Missing Pages. There's a murder mystery set against the backdrop of the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair in the Ivory City, which got a Library Journal star. If you read Under the Banner of Heaven, you know the name Lafferty, and in The Lafferty Girl, daughter Rebecca Lafferty tells her story and hopes to encourage other survivors of trauma to find peace. And Let's Party by Dan Pelosi, also known as Grossy Pelosi, the follow-up to his New York Times bestseller, Let's Eat. He was on the Today Show last week. Next slide, please. We have The Encore in 2026 by Juliet Eizon. Good for readers who love the rhythm of Daisy Jones and the Six. In New York, a 16-year-old piano virtuoso named Lottie begins a quest to find the woman who gave her up at birth. Turns out her birth mother is a successful musician. Her father also a successful composer. When Lottie discovers this truth, the revelation catalyzes a chain of events that not only reunites them all, but forces them together on a rock tour bus for a cross-country trip. And while on the road, the three must reconcile with the unchangeable choices from their past. The Encore is both a repeat performance on the stage and in life. Next slide, Wife House by Sonia Walger. Annie and Hector are a married couple who let their friends and their son stay in the guest house at Christmas dinner. That son's 26-year-old French tutor joins, and that's when a seemingly stable home life for Annie splinters. Over the following year, she finds herself making decisions she never thought she'd make as a loving mother and devoted wife. Through shifting perspectives of the characters, a messy but nuanced portrait is painted of a woman who walks away from every role expected of her and what that decision means for everyone in her life. Author Sonia Walger is an actress best known for playing Penny on Lost, but her first book, Lion, published earlier this year and was called Seductive by the Wall Street Journal. Next, please. The Venice Double by Jesse DeRoy picks up where Safecracker left off, with Duke Duquesne going to Italy with a team that will remind no one of Ocean's 11. To heist a scrap of paper with the beginnings of La Boheme, written in the composer Puccini's own hand. Of course, it's a rush job with dire consequences hanging in the balance if it fails. Get your tumblers ready again for book 2 in the Safecracker series. Next, please, is The Truth of Carcosa by Jacob Rollinson, a tribute to the horror classic The King in Yellow. The year is 1984, and a renowned author accepts the help of a psychotherapist to write his new book, hoping to transform his traumatic memories into a bestseller. It works, but it works so well that the resulting book appears to summon unholy powers, and the horrified author sees fit that all copies be destroyed. Decades later, 3 friends become entangled in the quest to find that final copy, which not only conjures evil, but which mad men and shadowy corporations are hell-bent on using for their own ends. Next, please, The Einstein Vendetta by Thomas Harding. A tough but true story here. We've all heard of Albert Einstein, but not much has been told about his cousin Robert Einstein, perhaps because the story is tragic. In 1944, during World War II, Robert and his wife felt safe in Italy, but it was still agreed that as a Jew, he, Robert, should go into hiding, but his wife, who was a Christian, and daughters could safely live in the villa. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Nazis smashed down their door, and when they couldn't find Robert, killed his wife and children. He had been targeted because he was the cousin of Albert Einstein, who left years earlier. Close to a year later, overwhelmed by guilt and grief, he took an overdose and died in 1945. Author Thomas Harding is a respected journalist in Holocaust and Jewish European history who met with Einstein's great niece and collaborated with the Einstein Archives for this book that shines a light on forgotten lives and the path to post-war justice. And now for something completely different on the next slide. Cochina, Puerto Rico. Chef Mia Castro has worked with top chefs and as a private chef. She competed on Beat Bobby Flay, and she did beat Bobby Flay. In the pandemic year of 2020, unexpectedly in New York City, she craved the foods of her native Puerto Rico. So over daily FaceTime calls with her abuela in San Juan, she collected the recipes that represent her family's homeland. Next slide, please. Salads, fritters, and soups, plus seafood, meat, and rice dishes, and plenty of sweets here bring the signature flavors, culture, and history of Puerto Rico for you to recreate in your home kitchen. Next slide, please. A little bit extra with a cover reveal to come very soon. Chef Riley Meehan is known on social media for giving a behind-the-scenes peek at his work as a private chef. Now, in a little bit extra, he tells you the secrets he uses to impress his clients. You see, his recipes always feature a little twist that enhance color, flavor, or texture, taking them from good to really, really, really good. Take a Gruyere and Parmesan cheese puff. It sounds great, but when you airdrop some pimento cheese dip on it, oh baby. Next slide, please. How about taking the avocado in a crab, grilled corn, butter, lettuce salad with avocado and frying those wedges for a pop of golden flair on that next slide? Or make pasta fresh while enjoying his Instagram famous dill Vesper martini as you do it. Most of us can't afford a private chef, but with a little bit extra, it will feel like you can. Lastly, next slide, please. Unread author Oliver James went viral at the age of 34 in the year 2022 when he went on TikTok and said, quote, "What's up? I can't read." As a result of learning disabilities, educational neglect, though Oliver, he graduated from high school, but he's one of over 47 million functionally illiterate Americans. But he did more than say, "I can't read." He made the decision to learn to read as an adult and document his struggles and triumphs along the way. He went from barely being able to read a menu to his goal of finishing 100 books in a year. This is his full story through 21 key books that shaped and informed his experience. Books like The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank or The Giver by Lois Lowry, but also self-help books and celebrity biographies. He was the recipient of the 2023 Barbara Bush National Literacy Award. His story reveals the ways in which reading can teach each of us that it's never too late to grow. My friends, those are the books, and that's the way it is today on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Thank you for listening, and here is our next presenter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brad Fish, manager of the Library and Education team here at IPG. IPG Independent Publishers Group distributes books for small and medium-sized publishers from the U.S. and all around the world. We're also one of the largest U.S. distributors of authentic Spanish books from more than 35 international Spanish language publishers. Next. Our first book is Heading Home with Your Newborn, published by the American Academy of Pediatrics. This book reads like a friendly conversation with your family pediatrician. The fully revised and updated 5th edition of this best-selling guide offers essential advice from 2 pediatrician moms. It covers everything new parents need to know, from feeding and diapering to crying and sleep. Updates in this edition include new safe sleep recommendations, enhanced support for postpartum depression, updated developmental milestones, and a timely discussion of screen use, media use, and technology. This parent-tested, pediatrician-approved advice will help new parents feel comfortable those first few days and weeks at home and serve as a trusted guide for their whole first year. Next. 8 Steps to a Pain-Free Back. Dedicated to the millions of people who suffer unnecessarily from back pain, this updated edition of Esther Golkel's classic bestseller reveals a surprising truth. Our bodies are designed to function pain-free. We're just not using them correctly. With 8 steps, you won't find gimmicks, gadgets, or time-consuming exercises, just tweaks to your everyday movement habits. Learn how to work at your desk, make a cup of coffee, or even walk the dog in ways that protect and strengthen your body. This new edition includes 600 new and updated images, new and refined techniques, including a fully revamped walking chapter, and QR codes linking to the videos of key techniques. Around 80% of adults experience back pain at some point in their lives. 8 steps will give them immediate relief by helping them return to the way humans are meant to move. The purpose of this book is to again make back pain rare. Next. Willie Nelson on Willie Nelson, the newest title in the Musicians in Their Own Words series from our own Chicago Review Press. Willie Nelson on Willie Nelson is a collection of interviews that illuminates him not only as a musician, but also as an actor, writer, political and animal rights activist, drug advocate, and environmentalist. These interviews with Willie, many of them unseen for decades, takes us through the ups and downs of his remarkable life and into the history of his most beloved songs and albums. The interviews range from the heyday of the 70s to the current era. The conversations reveal the myriad sides of an American icon. Upcoming titles in the series, Neil Young in January, followed by Patti Smith in April. Next. Hallow Weird. Well, it wouldn't be fall without a horror story, or in this case, horror stories. Venture into the realm of the weird with the beautiful British Library Gilded Nightmares hardback collection. This stunning series of books is brimming with rediscovered classic horror tales. Hallow Weird collects up a haunting haul of short stories and a handful of strange seasonal poetry. Spanning from 1780 to the 1970s, this new volume celebrates the riotous weird of the Halloween season through the works of legendary ghost story writers, such as Edith Wharton, alongside rare literary treats, rediscovered by Johnny Maines, the editor, and returning to print for the very first time since their original publication. Coming next month, the ghost stories of Wilkie Collins, and in January, Bewitched by Edith Wharton. Next. Now, introducing an important new series in the U.S. manga world, Baki the Grappler. This is volumes 1 and 2 in the Baki series. A 17-year-old boy with a white belt enters a karate tournament and shakes the foundation of Japan's martial arts scene. As he effortlessly defeats his opponents, the world's top fighters are left to ask just who is this bizarrely strong young man and what is he trying to achieve. This is the first official English edition of the cult hit manga. Experience Kisuke Itagaki's best-selling and highly influential Baki saga from the start. Incredible artwork with exquisite high-quality printing. This is a 16-plus adult teen series without graphic nudity. There will be 24 volumes. There are over 100 million copies of Baki in circulation in Japan. Baki is frequently cited as the direct inspiration for the countless movies, anime, and video games that followed it, adapted into multiple anime series by Netflix with ongoing production, confirming their long-term investment in the Baki universe. Appeals to fans of Dragon Ball, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Street Fighter. Your manga fans are going to love Baki. Next. Find all of the IPG catalogs and many digital review copies on Edelweiss and NetGalley. Next. And as always, feel free to reach out to me or visit ipgbook.com for more information. Thank you for being here. Our next presenter is Celia from Ingram Publisher Services.
Hi, everybody. My name is Celia Madison. I am the Library Marketing Manager for Ingram Publisher Services, and I have 10 new titles, also all from independent presses, to share with you today. I've just dropped my form in there if you'd like to request any galleys or reach out to any authors. Next slide, please. This is Recipes for an Unexpected Afterlife. This is a super duper cozy fantasy about a retired orc knight who has given up his warrior mantle to run a tavern, but he will be pulled back into his adventurer past when a young orphan girl shows up at his doorstep. You can see her on the cover. Isn't she so cute with that curly hair? This one has super autumnal tabletop vibes, deep world building, comfortingly low stakes about a man searching for purpose and the power of food, family, and community. Read-alikes are Legends and Lattes and Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. Next slide, please. For fantasy readers who like higher stakes and a little bit of romance, Hauntings and House Witchery is a second chance romance between Verbena, a witch, and a successful realtor, because in this economy, even witches have to have a side hustle, and Luke, Verbena's ex, who is unaware that she's been using dark magic to keep him away from her. But when a ghost from their shared past emerges, the two are brought back together and forced to confront their history and their future. For readers of the X-Hex, are Payback's a Witch. Next slide. This is my darkest romance of this little group. Ren was born knowing that she would be given to the gods as a servant and takes pride in the knowledge that her sacrifice will keep her village safe. That pride changes when she sees the giving ceremony and realizes that it is a literal sacrifice, and she has to watch her best friend be brutally slaughtered in the name of the gods. Ren flees, and after her is sent a hunter, but when she heals him, unaware of who he is, the relationship of pursued and pursuer will intensify. This is the first in the series and will appeal to fans of Kaylee Cassidy, Stacey McEwen, and LJ Andrews. Next slide, please. This is my last romance. You are likely familiar with C.R. Jane's USA best-selling, TikTok super famous Wrong Pucking series of dark sports romances. This one has all the heat, but with a much lighter, more comedic side. Natalie's ex has become a Hollywood superstar since she broke his heart years ago. Little does she know that he's been pining for her this whole time, and he has a scheme to win her back over her sister's wedding weekend. Readers who are longtime fans of Jane will love this one, as well as newcomers who weren't interested in the sports angle but still crave all of that spice and drama. Next slide. So moving away from romance, Sister Creatures is a literary Southern Gothic set in small town Louisiana. Tess is a college dropout without much to do when an escaped daughter of religious fundamentalists arrives and convinces Tess to let her stay with her. This is a really powerful novel about female resistance against institutional misogyny and religious control, which manifests in the form of a malevolent shapeshifter that torments the town. Fans of Grady Hendrix and Sylvia Moreno Garcia are going to absolutely love this one. Next slide. This novel is an absolute hit in France, where Colette is pretty much universally adored. This is maybe her most accessible novel. It is about two sisters who live in this highly oppressive village. The two take in a founding, Madeline, whose presence quickly upsets the delicate balance of this highly restrictive small community. Overseeing all of this is Bran, who is both awestruck and terrified by these three women and their willingness to confront the rules that have kept them all hemmed in for so long. This one and the previous title both address really timely themes about small communities, religious oppression, male dominance. I wonder if we could think about why those themes might be in vogue right now, but I think they'll appeal to readers who are looking for something not quite dystopian, but that still feels super relevant. Next slide, please. This one kind of speaks for itself. It's cyberpunk Great Gatsby. I don't know how much more I have to say. Nick is a Filipino-American corporate hacker whose work brings him into Gatsby's inner orbit. We've recently gotten 3 really great trade reviews for this one, so whether or not you're a Fitzgerald fan, it's definitely one to check out. Next slide. I would like anyone who knows where the Chagos Archipelago is to drop a message in the chat. I love maps, and I was completely unfamiliar with this small island chain. For those of you who didn't know where it was, like me, the Chagos Archipelago is 300 miles south of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean. It is a remote island chain, which makes it the perfect setting for this international pot-boiling thriller. 5 strangers, all with mysterious pasts, will meet at a top secret military base on one of the islands. How many will get out alive? You will have to read more to find out. Next slide. That brings me to my final 2. These are both horror novels. So Persona opens on an apartment where 2-month-old dishes grow forests of black mold, where there are just walls of cascading garbage bags that make new little rooms and corridors to get lost in. And it only gets worse from there. This is cosmic horror about a trans woman who has not voluntarily left her apartment in a calendar year. And so she is shocked and confused to find pornography of herself that she has no memory of creating. Gretchen Felker Martin called this the best book that she's read in years. Fans of Manhunt will absolutely eat this one up. Little Puss is one of our new presses, and they are masters of truly subversive trans and queer horror. Definitely not for young readers, but explores, again, some really timely and interesting themes about consent and isolation. Next slide. And finally, if you've been listening to all these titles and you're like, I love all of these genres, what an interesting mix. This one is kind of the amalgamation of all of them. So it is a cosmic horror, queer, dark, romance, gothic. I think that's everything. Jude is a sadistic pastor with a secret lover. Dante, who is a kind-hearted young man who finds out that he is the Antichrist. Dante does not want to start the apocalypse, after all, who does? But duty is duty, and what can you do? Next slide. Those are all of my titles. If you are interested in galleys and finished books and hosting an event with any of these authors, please reach out. Next month, I'll be hosting a webinar all about Spanish language titles. So if that's of interest, just let me know. There's my email address, and I will pass it on to Margot. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margo McCoy with Macmillan. Here are all of the ways you can get in touch with us online. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about any of the titles I'm talking about today. Next slide. Many of the titles we'll be talking about today already are or will be available to read on Edelweiss. So if you're not already waitlisted for automatic downloads, send us an email at the email address on the screen and we will get you all set up. Next slide. And please feel free to join us on Mondays at 4 p.m. for our Happy Half Hour series, where we talk about all of the upcoming books we're excited about. Next slide. Next, and be sure to check out our Big Book Club resource guide, where you can stay up to date with book club news, sweepstakes, discussion guides, and more. Now, on to the books. First up is Meet the Newmans. This is Jennifer Niven's adult debut. For 2 decades, Dell and Dina Newman and their sons have been America's favorite family. Millions tune in to watch them play flawless versions of themselves, but now their ratings are falling. When Dell gets in a mysterious car accident, Dina hires a reporter to help her write the final episode, but they have wildly different perspectives about what it means to be a woman and a family. This is told in multiple POVs from each of the 4 Newmans, and it's a funny yet intimate novel that traces the history of television and the cultural shift in feminism between the 50s and 60s. Next slide. Next is The Odds of You by Kate Dremis. This follows a woman who, after abandoning her career to become an author, has a massive bestseller but is struggling to write her second book. And after an accidental encounter with an annoying up-and-coming actor, the paparazzi mistake her for his girlfriend, leaving her in an untested position. His fans get wrapped up in the drama, the pressure for her next bestseller is on, and they both agree that there's nothing between them. But when she flees to Scotland to focus on writing, she's not expecting him to come back into her life. There's witty banter, strong heat, and deep connection, and this is perfect for fans of Ashley Poston and Yulin Kwong. Next slide. Next is Lost Lambs by Madeline Cash. This is a debut that follows the messy Flynn family. The parents' marriage has reached its breaking point, and their daughters are also spiraling. One is dating a man nicknamed War Crime Wes, another is corresponding with an online terrorist, and the youngest is being sent to a wilderness reform camp. Casting a shadow across their lives is a billionaire shipping magnate. Rumors of corruption circulate, but no one digs too deep except the youngest daughter, whose obsession sends the family into a criminal conspiracy. This moves between the voices of the family and those around them. It's an addictive family saga for the 21st century, all held together with crazy glue. Next slide. Next is Graceless Heart by Isabel Banez. This is the exciting adult debut by New York Times bestseller Isabel Banez. In the alluring city of 15th century Florence, sculptress Ravenna Maffei's forbidden magic becomes both her greatest asset and her most dangerous secret. As love and war intertwine, her choices will determine the fate of a city on the brink of unraveling. This is an immersed historical fantasy with a strong heroine and has slow burn tension with high stakes. It's lush, romantic, and an absolute page-turner. Next up is Bad Agents by Lillian Lee. This follows a group of friends who have been told their entire lives that success is guaranteed by a checklist. They worked hard, they got A's, and they attended university, only to graduate into the recession of 2008. But when the former neighborhood golden child asks to make a documentary about them, they think it'll never see the light of day. But then the video goes viral. As the video's popularity tears them apart, the friends must face harsh truths about themselves and coming of age in the new millennium. This is a tale of friendship, family expectations, and a flawed and relatable group of characters. Next step. Next is Wait For Me by Amy Jo Burns. In 1973, folk singer Elle Harlow is at the peak of her career. But after she gives the biggest performance of her life, she suddenly vanishes. 2 decades later, Mary John spends her summer writing songs and longing for a mother. Her father has always sworn that he was the last person to see Elle alive, but when a piece of Elle's past emerges, the truth of her disappearance sets fire to everything Mary John believes. This is a story of the bond between two folk singers separated by time and the music that brings them together. It's a great read for fans of Daisy Jones and the Six. Next up is You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. C.G. Drews is the author of Don't Let the Forest In, which was a huge hit in the YA horror space, among others. Now, their adult debut will be perfect for fans of The Push and Baby Teeth, about a woman who moves into a new home with her husband and autistic son. But her son claims that he can hear voices in the walls and that the renovations are hurting the house. Something strange is going on, but is it with her son or with the house? This is a clever take on a haunted house novel and examines secrets, motherhood, and the twisted bonds of family. Next is This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by husband and wife duo Ilona Andrews. This is an epic fantasy that follows a woman who ends up in the world of her favorite unfinished fantasy series. Her only tool for navigating the world is her knowledge of the plot, characters, and setting, and the war that will end them. While she can't be killed off, the living characters that she's come to love still can, so she decides to use her knowledge to save them all and stop the destruction of the kingdom. There's page-turning politics, a slow burn romance, and found family. And if you're a fan of Samantha Shannon or Daniel L. Jensen, you should check this one out. Next is Harmless Women by Rebecca Sharp. This is a pacey thriller about a con artist who kidnaps and sedates her victims, clears their bank accounts, and changes their appearance so they can't prove who they are. This gives her a head start and a new identity to get away. But when she chooses the wrong woman as her target, they both end up on the run. This is like Thelma and Louise, mixed with the pulse-pounding survival story of Bright Young Woman, the cat and mouse chase of Stone Cold Fox, and the high-stakes scams of You Can Trust Me. And last up is The Subtle Art of Folding Space. John Chu is an established name in short-form science fiction, and his stories have been nominated for and won Hugo and Nebula Awards. This is his full-length debut that richly combines everything everywhere all at once, and Charles Yu's how to live safely in a science fiction universe. As the universe falls apart, a woman must confront her mother's legacy and overcome her family's generational trauma while trying to fix the bugs in the physics of the universe. This book weaves together family dynamics and trauma against the backdrop of quantum physics and food, and will be fun for fans of Dark Matter or Marvel's Loki show. Next up. And that is it from me. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoyed the books. I think so.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Casterly from Blackstone Publishing. Thank you for joining us today to hear about our new and upcoming books. First up, we have Ghosts of Hiroshima by Charles Pellegrino. This book is the inspiration for James Cameron's upcoming movie, which is being released next year. It takes a deeper look at the bombings that ended World War II from both a scientific and human perspective, and it includes harrowing first-person accounts from survivors. The print edition came out a couple weeks ago, and it debuted on the New York Times and USA Today bestseller lists. It's really an amazing, deeply researched story. And the audio edition is narrated by legendary actor Martin Sheen. Next, we have Apex from best-selling fantasy author Seth Ring, creator of the Titan and Battle Mage Farmer series. This is the third book in his epic Exlian series, featuring alien contact, fast-paced military action, and thrilling adventure. Seth specializes in the up-and-coming genre of lit RPG, which combines the conventions of role-playing games with science fiction and fantasy literature. This book will appeal to fans of Shir Loon, Sean Oswald, Will White, and Blaise Corbin. Seth has sold almost 1 million copies of his works around the world and has legions of fans. Next, we have A Ruin, Great and Free by Cadwell Turnbull. This is the stunning conclusion to the Convergence saga. The first book in the series, No Gods, No Monsters, won a Lammy Award and was a New York Times top 10 book of the year, was also an Indie Next pick. The follow-up, We Are the Crisis, was a finalist for the Manly Wade Wellman Award and the 2024 Ignite Award, and was a New York Times pick of new books in science fiction. Library Journal said in their starred review of this final installment, Turnbull's writing never disappoints. The conclusion to the Convergent saga is stunning in its emotional depth while still appealing to readers looking for an action-filled fantasy. Next, we have Just Visiting This Planet, revised and updated for the 21st century. From Neil deGrasse Tyson, #1 New York Times bestselling author of Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, comes a spirited journey to the planets and stars, revealing the answers to many mysteries of our galaxy and beyond. In this completely updated companion volume to Merlin's Tour of the Universe, Tyson presents a collection of questions and answers about the cosmos for stargazers of all ages. Whether waxing about Earth and its environs, the sun and its stellar siblings, the world of light, physical laws, or galaxies near and far, Merlin, a fictional visitor from planet Omniscia and our guide to the universe, is easy to understand, often humorous, and always entertaining. Neil has revisited this book, which was originally published in 1998, and added substantial updates to make it as appealing as his recent bestsellers. He's that rare author who appeals equally to adults and kids with plenty of accessible language and humor. And this is perfect for fans of short science books, anyone who enjoyed Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, any of Neil's 16 million social media followers, and listeners to the popular Star Talk podcast. Next, we have Photograph. From New York Times bestselling author Brian Freeman, Photograph is an emotional cold case mystery of hidden identities and startling twists, perfect for fans of Lisa Jewell, Mary Kubica, and Freena McFadden. Private investigator Shannon Wells receives a client with a strange request. Find out who I really am. Now that woman is dead. The only clue to who she was and why she was murdered is an old photograph of a little girl. Brian is a New York Times and USA Today bestselling author, known for the Jonathan Stride series and his novels in Robert Ludlum's Jason Bourne series. This is a standalone psychological thriller, which is really where Brian has a huge base, and it has a twisty plot with light supernatural elements. You can see this one is already getting multiple starred reviews. Next, we have Devouring Time by Todd Goddard. This is the definitive biography of acclaimed author Jim Harrison and a penetrating deep dive into the life of the talent behind Legends of the Fall, Dalva, and True North. Based on more than 100 original interviews and drawing upon Harrison's collected papers, Devouring Time is the first and only literary biography of this beloved author, whose playful, irreverent, and spiritual work continues to find and delight new readers. There's a lot of excitement building around this one. It's getting fantastic reviews. I'll go ahead and read the rest of that Carl Hyacin quote. He also said, I think Devouring Time will stand as a complete and moving portrait. Jim was one of those rare writers whose private life was as adventurous as their works, but only a dogged journalist could have tracked down all the tales. And next we have The Reluctant Reaper by Mary Janice Davidson. This is a delightful romantasy with a twist. A lot of 20-somethings might look forward to inheriting the family business. Amara Morgan's got zero interest in hers. The mantle she stands to assume is currently worn by her father, Death. Mary Janice is a New York Times and USA Today bestselling author, and this is a great one for her fans and the romantasy genre in general. Then we have NYPD Red 8. From #1 New York Times bestselling author Marshall Karp comes the next installment in the endlessly thrilling NYPD Red series. A bomb explodes in a crowded New York subway station at exactly 11:59 a.m. The next day, a second blast rips through a busy department store, again at 11:59. As the bombs go off with clockwork precision, the death toll climbs and businesses shut their doors as the city hunkers down in fear. It's great for fans of the NYPD Red series, as well as thriller fans and fans of Michael Connelly, Jeffrey Deaver, and James Patterson. And finally, there is all of our contact information, so please reach out for galleys or if you have any questions, and I will turn it over to Deb at Grove Atlantic. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, thanks everybody for joining. I'm Deb Seeger from Grove Atlantic, and I'm here to tell you about a few fall books and winter books. Please know all of our galleys can be found on NetGalley and Edelweiss, and you can always reach me if you'd like physical galleys, but you'll get my info at the end of this. Next slide. Just want to thank everybody for choosing Lily King's Heart to Lover for Library Reads in September. It meant a lot to us, so really appreciate it. Just want to here are some books that are coming out in September and October that we've talked about. Next slide. And then November, Stuart Onan, best-selling author, comes to us with an intimate, moving novel that follows the Humpty Dumpty Club, a group of women of a certain age who band together to help one another and their circle of friends as they face the challenges of their golden years. The club is distraught when its powerful leader takes a bad fall, knocking her out of commission. Now the club members have to pick up the slack. Warm and often wirily funny, Song reminds us that life is made up of small and big moments, but it's the people we weather those moments with that that are most important. Coming from Roxane Gay Books in January, also in November, is Ashani Suri's debut, Ravishing. This shines a light on the dark enticements of the beauty industry. For teenage Kashira, it's painful for her to look in the mirror. All she ever sees is her father's face reflecting back at her, who abandoned her as a child. When a friend introduces her to Evalor, a beauty product that changes users' features, Kashmira is hooked. But meanwhile, at the Evalor corporate offices, her strange brother, Nikki, first sees this product as an opportunity to make a difference and make a name for himself. But soon, reports surface that the product is causing users persistent symptoms and illness. As chaos ensues, Kashmira is hospitalized and must negotiate the constraints of her new reality, while Nikki uncovers vicious truths that will force him to decide where his loyalties lie. This novel is perfect for readers of Gold Diggers and Uncanny Valley. It's a visceral yet immersive, tender coming-of-age story of two Indian American siblings caught in the clutches of a preparatory beauty industry, providing an illuminating portrait of the complexities of growing up brown, chronic illness, and the relationships to ourselves. Next slide. And it's hard to believe that Jeanette Winterson is celebrating the 40th anniversary of her seminal book, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. And we're publishing a new an anniversary edition in November. But she's coming back in January with a mix of memoir, manifesto, and a feminist reimagining of 1001 Nights with the extraordinary One Aladdin, Two Lamps. A woman is filibustering for her life. Every night she tells a story. Every morning she lives one more day. One Aladdin, Two Lamps cracks open the legendary story of Shahrazad to reveal new questions and answers ones we're still thinking about. Who should we trust? Is love the most important thing? What makes us happy? In her guise as Aladdin, the orphan who changed his world, Jeanette Winterson asks us to reread what we think we know, to look at how fiction works in our lives, giving us the courage to change our own narratives and alter endings we wish to subvert. Next slide. Also in January, Sarah Levine, author of the cult classic Treasure Island, comes The Hitch. This is one of the funniest novels I've read in a long time. Rose Cutler is convinced she knows the right way to do everything. On the brink of selling her yogurt business, having decided everyone must become a vegan to save the planet, Rose longs to host her 6-year-old nephew while his parents go on vacation. They're reluctant. They believe Rose's dog is ill-behaved, and they are wary from the onslaught of unsolicited advice she bestows on them. But sensing her loneliness, they give in. Then on the first day of Rose's watch, a dead corgi's soul leaps into her nephew's body. Rose negotiates the borders that had previously ruled her rational world, and wonders if she can exorcise the corgi before her nephew's parents return. The Hitch is a dark comedy about loneliness, bad boundaries, and the ill-fated strategies of micromanaging everything around you. Next slide. And in February, James Lee Burke is back with a new Dave Robichaux novels, which are always excited to have a new one. And lastly, in March comes a historical mystery from the author of Fierce Kingdom. Just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, is a real natural wonder called Ruby Falls, which is where Jen Phillips begins her historical mystery set during the Deep Depression. It's tough times. No one is coming to visit the 150-foot waterfall found in the middle of the mountain. But a shrewd public relations ploy seems like the only way to save Ruby Falls. A famous mind reader and mystic agrees to launch himself into the falls caverns, where he will attempt to locate a hidden hat pin using only his physical abilities. He'll be joined by 5 others: his manager, his wife, a Chattanooga businessman, a reporter, and a guide. One of them will be dead before the end of the day. Ruby Falls is both a unique twist on the locked room mystery and an exploration of loss and what it means to start over. It's a heart-racing story of survival and a testament to the threads that bind strangers together. We believe this is another great contender for library reads. Do reach out if you'd like a galley. Next slide. Thanks, everybody. Here's how you can reach me and do reach out. And now on to Annie.
Thanks, Deb. Hello, I'm Annie Mazes with Hachette Book Group. Thank you so much for being here today. Next slide, please. I want to start with some nonfiction. First up is Poppy State. In Poppy State, California plants serve as structural anchors in a wildly inventive work of narrative nonfiction that's part botanical criticism, part personal storytelling, and part study of place. This is from the award-winning author of Creep, and the person that Cosmo called the mother of intersectional Latinx identity. Gerba tells a story of resilience and reclamation through a relationship with plants, memory, myth, and indigenous knowledge. This is for readers of Ross Gay, Robin Wall Kimmer, and Amy Nazuka Matato. Anyone interested in literary or nature crossovers will really enjoy this book. Next is Hush. Hi. Thank you for your comment. Linda Clemens came to the office, and it was wild to watch her engage with people for a few moments and then be able to provide them with ways to help improve their communication styles. As one of the world's foremost body language experts, Linda has traveled the world training top CEOs, sales teams, celebrities, anyone who needs to harness the enormous power of nonverbal communication to get what they want. In Hush, Clemens offers practical strategies that will supercharge your confidence during any social interaction, personal or professional. Her unique approach eliminates common body language challenges, and her secrets to leveling up your presence will help readers land jobs, get their ideas heard, calm fears, and even make someone swoon. Next up is personal favorite of mine. I am such a fan of this book. The read is riveting. It's a thrilling untold story of the trailblazing writer Janet Flanner. She was the Paris correspondent for The New Yorker in the 1920s when the magazine first started, and she sounded the alarm about the rise of fascism in Europe while becoming enmeshed in the sensational case of a German serial killer who stalked the streets of Paris on the eve of World War II. She worked tirelessly to alert American readers to the dangers of the Third Reich, and also at the same time was becoming gripped by the disturbing crimes of this man who embodied all of the darkness that she was being forced to confront. The man who was subsequently captured was the last person to be publicly executed by guillotine in France. As an American in Paris, Flanner covered his crimes, capture, and highly politicized trial. Well ahead of her time, Flanner strove for her freedom and transformed a cultural institution in the process. This book is fascinating. Next up is some fiction. Starting with The Ferryman and His Wife, I put my 2 favorites back to back. I cannot tell you how much I love this book. I think the writing is just mind-blowingly beautiful. I absolutely adore it. It's such a human story about a Norwegian man on his last day of life. He's a ferryman on a fjord in Norway, and he encounters all the ghosts of his life as he sails the fjord for the last time, looking forward to meeting his wife again at the end, who had passed away. It's in the spirit of Amor Towles and George Saunders. It is a gorgeous translation from Alison McCullough. Please, if you read this book, reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about it. Next up is The Heir Apparent. If you love Princess Di, or if you tuned into Oprah's interview with Harry and Meghan, this book is for you. Returning to London after a freak accident makes Lexi the heir apparent, Princess Alexandrina. She's greeted by a skeptical public not ready to forgive her defection and a grieving family trying to destabilize the monarchy. With 1 year to decide, Lexi must chart her own destiny. Rebecca Armitage has been a journalist who has reported extensively on the British royal family, and so she brings expert knowledge and a refined perspective to this very stylish novel. Next is Pedro the Vast. Simone Lopez Trujillo's Sporer science horror debut takes reader into a dry and degraded, fire-prone landscape where humanity has encroached a step too far into the natural world, and a deadly fungus mounts its own resistance. Fun fact, the fungus narrates like a kind of horrifying dystopian Lorax in this book. It's for readers of Jeff Vandermeer and Samantha Schweblin. Next is Hemlock. This is a novel grounded in human psychology, explores very real themes of addiction and recovery, familial trauma, queerness through very beautiful literary writing, but it also has a heart-pounding mystery at its center, a very evocative setting, and magical realist elements. Sam, who is finally sober and stable with a cat, a long-term relationship, returns alone to Hemlock, her family's deteriorating cabin where her mother disappeared years before and never returned. But a quick practical trip takes a turn for the worse when the forest starts to creep in around the edges of Sam's mind and she senses she's battling something sinister, whether nested in the woods or within herself. Next is Missing Sam. Leah reports her wife missing after a night of heated argument, and as a gay Muslim daughter of immigrants, she cannot escape the scrutiny and suspicion of those around her. Scared and furious and feeling isolated, Aaliyah makes one wrong choice after another. All the while, Sam is being held captive, terrified that she won't get out alive. So Aaliyah must fight to both prove her innocence and save her wife. Best-selling author Thridi Umrigar returns with a nail-biting story and a provocative examination of suburban moors that captures the real dangers, both physical and psychological, of being brown and queer in America. And Thridi Umrigar is going to be on, Chris Vicari and I are putting together a virtual event on October 16th. I'll put the invitation in the chat. Please, we hope to see you there. Thridi will be talking about her novel, a bit of a departure for her, along with another author from Union Square. We'd love to see you there. Next slide, just some wonderful, fun romances. Next slide, please. Some romances to get you in a mood. Game Set Match is really fun. Juicy, action-filled tennis rom-com. And then the next slide is going to be some sci-fi fantasy. Next slide, please. I wish I had some jackets to show you. But the Trident and the Pearl is one to keep an eye out for. It's a desperate queen makes a deal with the gods to save her land, and unbeknownst ends up marrying the god of the sea. So fun. Lots of drama. All right, that's all for me. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I'm Golda Rademacher, and I'm the Library Sales and Marketing Director at Norton. Thank you so much for joining us today. On the next slide, I have just a few highlights from our fall list. We have new books from acclaimed writers like Stephen Greenblatt, Keisha Blaine, Joe Lepore, Joy Harjo, and Mary Roach. And there's a new espionage thriller by David McCloskey, and much more to see in our fall catalog on Edelweiss. Next slide. This is Chronicles of Ori by Harmonia Rosales. In this beautiful book, she retells the African myths she has long treasured, crafting an enthralling epic that spans the birth of the universe to the modern world of colonialism and resistance. The stories are interspersed with her gorgeous paintings, so it's like an art book and a mythology book in one. And if you go to the next slide, I have just a couple of examples of paintings that you will find in the book. And then next, The Jaguar's Roar is the story of an indigenous Brazilian girl's kidnapping during a colonial expedition, intertwined with a young woman's modern-day search for identity and ancestral truths. This is the author's fifth novel, but it's the first to be translated into English. The book powerfully challenges dominant historical narratives by centering the voices of these stolen indigenous children. In the section set in contemporary Brazil, we meet Josefa, a young woman searching for her roots. Through its poignant exploration of memory, colonialism, and belonging, the novel offers readers a profound reflection on the enduring impact of history on personal lives. The translator is a Brazilian native and a seasoned journalist with years of experience reporting on Brazil's social and political landscapes. Next slide. We are thrilled to be publishing best-selling author David Guterson's next novel. Evelyn in Transit is about defying expectations, hitting the road, and seeking the right way to live. Evelyn has always been a misfit. She's easily bored, unsuited to life at school, and asks odd questions about faith and time. Seeking to be true to herself, she hitchhikes across the American West taking odd jobs. She has a son, and 5 years later, a trio of Buddhist lamas show up at her door to announce that her son Cliff is the seventh reincarnation of a recently deceased holy man. The lama's visit sets off a family crisis and a media firestorm over Cliff's future. Full of surprising humor and luminosity, Evelyn in Transit delivers insight and compassion about humanity's strivings for transcendence and what it might mean to live the right way. And next up, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel is a bioethicist, health policy expert, oncologist, and he was an advisor to Presidents Obama and Biden. In his new book, Eat Your Ice Cream, he cuts through the noise with good humor, giving readers just what they need: simple, high-impact, evidence-based guidelines on such issues as alcohol consumption, food and nutrition, exercise, sleep, mental acuity, and social engagement. Resisting the tide of the latest trends to extend life at all costs, Eat Your Ice Cream helps us consider which lifestyle changes are worth making and how to most easily implement them for healthier and happier lives. Next slide. So I hope some of you remember Heating and Cooling, which was one of my favorites when we published it in 2017. That book introduced the concept of the micro-memoir, kind of a cross between poetry and memoir. In her new book, The Irish Goodbye, Beth Ann Fennelly uses her humor and insight to explore family, marriage, motherhood, place, and coming of age. Some of the pieces are just a couple lines long, and some of them are a few pages. Full of unexpected wit, The Irish Goodbye is a record of the interstitial interactions, like encounters with strangers, quirky observations, and unexpected flights of fancy that all make up a richly lived life. Next slide. Then from a popular cartoonist comes a wry graphic memoir that traces the sometimes harrowing journey through medical school and residency. In See One, Do One, Teach One, Grace Ferris combines her passion for illustration with her vocation as a doctor. The book chronicles Grace's path through medical school and residency. Readers watch Grace confront the heartbreaking realities of caring for patients. Grace also discovers moments of joy, making her first correct diagnosis, finding kindred mentors, and when she least expects it, falling in love. Intimate and insightful, See One, Do One, Teach One captures the human side of healthcare, an empowering and entertaining addition to the conversation around modern medicine. Next slide. So we're also very excited to bring Jan Martel to Norton. His new novel, Son of Nobody, is a brilliant retelling of the Trojan War from two commoners, an ancient soldier and a modern scholar. The story is told in a two-part structure, with the modern scholar commenting on the ancient epic. The book grapples with questions of ambition, family, and responsibility, in both the ancient and modern worlds. You should give this to your fans of Madeline Miller and Emily Wilson. And on the next slide, here is my contact information again. You can find our catalogs on Edelweiss, and we keep adding more digital ARCs as soon as they become available. If you sign up for my library newsletter, you'll have many opportunities to request print ARCs. And thank you all again for listening, and please reach out if you need anything.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Croce, Senior Marketing Manager at Simon & Schuster, here to wrap everything up. So thank you so much for sticking with me today. Next. Convent Wisdom, How 16th Century Nuns Could Save Your 21st Century Life. Here is an irreverent, fascinating nonfiction to start us off. When most of us think of nuns, we picture hands clasped in prayer, solemn shuffles down cloisters hall, and that iconic habit silhouette. In reality, these women were no one-dimensional martyrs. 16th and 17th century nuns were resourceful, rebellious, and refreshingly relatable, and their lives hold surprising lessons for us today. Convent Wisdom is the reader's guide to navigating everything from patriarchal bureaucracy to an all-consuming friend crush with help from history's most fascinating nuns. Struggling with money, St. Teresa and her fellow Carmelites have recession-proof advice. Scrolling social media and drowning in FOMO, Mary of Jesus of Agreda's miraculous ability to engage in biolocation might help you cope. And confounding by a lesbian situationship, the yearnings of Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz contain unexpected insights. Blending rigorous research with tongue-in-cheek takeaways and weaving pop culture and personal anecdotes throughout, Brown University scholars and best friends Ana Garriga and Carmen Urbita spill the juicy inside scoop on monastic life so you can better conquer today's anxiety-ridden, hyper-connected world. Next. Town and Country by Brian Schaefer is a big-hearted debut novel. The trendy rural town of Griffin has become a popular destination for weekenders and the city's second homeowners, but now a congressional race in this swing district is highlighting tensions between lifelong residents and new arrivals. The campaign pits local pub owner and town supervisor Chip Riley against the wealthy young carpetbagger Paul Banks, challenging the social and political loyalties of their families and friends with lasting repercussions. Spanning 6 months from Memorial Day to Election Day, Town and Country paints a kaleidoscopic portrait of a community in flux. This is perfect for readers of Friedrich Botman and Jen Began and is a powerful, nuanced book that asks the essential and timeless questions. What makes a home, and what do we owe our neighbors? Next. All right, if the prospect of that debut stressed you out a little bit, too close to home, then may I present Kin by Sophie Lucido Johnson. Sorry, my slide is a little incorrect. I think that this is a book that many, if not all of us, need right now. It is a bold and warm-hearted blend of memoir and social science that is a reframing of intimate relationships with practical steps and to build community and combat loneliness in the vein of When You Care and Big Friendship. With richly reported stories and insight from psychology and sociology, Sophie Lucido Johnson explores the importance of our closest relationships beyond the nuclear family and provides the tools to forge kinship. Relationships built on emotional support, physical care, and shared resources. From asking for help on a grocery run to choosing to have roommates later in life to combat loneliness to living in the modern day, quote, mommunes of single mothers sharing bills and responsibility, Kin shows the vast range of kinship structures that Johnson and others are thriving in and how to build your own community of support. Next. 59 Minutes by Holly Seddon, the internationally best-selling author of the gripping Try Not to Breathe, brings suspenseful thrills in this unput-downable novel. There's a nuclear missile threat to South England with 59 minutes until impact, and this is not a test. Carrie is a young mother desperate to reunite with her daughter. Frankie, newly pregnant, faces a romantic vacation that takes a terrifying turn. And then there's the enigmatic older woman determined to protect her teenage daughter, Bunny, no matter what. With less than an hour before mass destruction, will they make it to their loved ones in time? Next. When the Fireflies Dance by Isha Hassan. Inspired by a shocking true story, this haunting debut novel of love, brotherhood, resilience, and redemption set in Pakistan is perfect for fans of The Kite Runner and The Beekeeper of Aleppo. On the outskirts of Lahore, Pakistan, a large yellow moon hung low in the sky when the men came with the dogs and guns and cricket bats. In front of his family's small hut on the edge of a looming brick kiln, Lalu's brother was murdered. Unable to escape the memory of that horrible night, Lalu's parents and sisters remained trapped, the kiln chimney churning black smoke into the sky as the family worked brick by brick to pay off their debts. To rescue them, Lulu must free himself from his past and carve out his own destiny. Next. A Danger to the Minds of Young Girls, Margaret C. Anderson, Book Bans and the Fight to Modernize Literature by Adam Morgan. This definitive biography of overlooked queer icon Margaret C. Anderson, whose fight to publish James Joyce's Ulysses, which then led to her arrest and trial for obscenity, is perfect for fans of the editor and the bookmakers. Already under fire for publishing the literary avant-garde into a world not ready for it, Margaret C. Anderson's cutting-edge magazine, The Little Review, was a bastion of progressive politics, such as advocating for women's suffrage, access to birth control, and LGBTQ rights, and boundary-pushing writing from then unknowns such as T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound, and William Butler Yeats. In 1921, after serializing Ulysses, Anderson found herself on trial and labeled as, quote, a danger to the minds of young girls by a government seeking to shut her down. Author, journalist, and literary critic Adam Morgan brings Anderson and her journal to life, capturing a moment of cultural acceleration and backlash all too familiar today, while shining a light on an unsung heroine of American arts and letters. Next. All right, please check out our resources, which include more book recommendations, info about upcoming events, curated themed book lists, resources regarding book bans, and more. You can go to simonandschuster.net/library, or you can find us on social media at SSEdLib, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. Next. That is everything for me and everything from all of us here today. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Thanks so much. A big virtual round of applause to everyone who presented. And on behalf of all of ALMA, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.